I am Julianne Meyer, and you are watching Own Your Wellness, and I'm excited to be here today. I hope you guys are too. Before we get going, I just want to actually fix something really quick because I was, I'm a one-woman show, and there we go. I was on a call earlier with somebody, and I wanted to make sure that none of all this extra stuff was on there. But we are on live TV, so woo, welcome. Anyway, so today's topic is all about hormones and how to balance them, and it's one of those issues that's near and dear to my heart. And the reason why, and this is so superficial, and I don't really care because I know there's a million people out there that understand this, is, especially as a personal trainer and health coach, I have this little pooch belly thing that's going on. Honestly, nobody else sees it, but I feel it. I see it. And it got me thinking about hormones. It got me thinking about how, I can't even tell you how many people have said, I've got this like donut around my stomach area now. And I never used to have that. No matter what I do, no matter how well I eat, it just doesn't seem to go away. And I would say that a lot of the times they're lying. They're not doing everything they can, but a lot of the times they are telling the truth, and it has to do with hormones. And that's what really got me going on this whole idea of hormones, and that's why I wanted to talk about that today. So what are they? I mean, we all understand the teenager version and, the raging hormones and the super, sensitive teenager and, the ups and the downs, but we can experience that as adults too. But what are they? So essentially, hormones are just chemical messengers that travel through our bloodstream, and all they're doing is delivering messages to different cells and organs, and just messages. That's all they are. That's really what hormones are. But, if you've ever experienced adrenal fatigue, you have high blood sugar, fertility issues, for example, a lot of women experience that, even men, because it does take two to make a baby. And then, of course, there's thyroid disorders. And almost all of those things stem from hormonal imbalances. And so what are some things that, I've heard a lot of things blamed on menopause, for example, but it doesn't necessarily mean, those are hormones, don't get me wrong, but, there are things that if you're in a different time in your life where you might not really have an answer to what's going on. And so if you've ever experienced weight maintenance issues, mood swings, as we talked about already, acne, adult acne, oh my goodness. And women, like if you're about to have your period and all of a sudden you break out, that's hormones. It's annoying, but it doesn't have to be like that. So what else? Fatigue is a big one. Indigestion is huge. Sleep disturbances is another one. Having irregular periods, irregular cycles, also a low libido. So if you're not in the mood to have sex, and you usually are, that could be a hormone imbalance. So those are things that you want to kind of take into consideration when you are trying to figure out maybe like what's going on with you. Could it possibly be a hormone imbalance? Now, here's the thing. There's always hormone replacement. There's always things that you can do. I am not advocating for that on this show today. I am not saying whether or not you should or you should not. Now, the thing is when you do a hormone replacement, say like you're going through menopause, your body is literally trying to change. So why are you introducing something that's not meant to be there anymore? That's just something to think about, because you're trying to alter nature. And I'm not saying, I'm going to keep on repeating myself, I'm not saying don't do hormone replacement. That's up to you and your doctor. What I am saying is that there are other ways to treat hormone imbalances that don't require medication to adjust things for you. And so we're going to talk about those things today, about things that you can do that don't have to do with taking, a shot in the butt and or taking pills or putting on lotions and potions and things like that to change your hormone levels. And, I obviously recommend that you do go to a doctor and find out what's going on. Now, the thing with hormones and going to a regular doctor as opposed to a functional doctor, you could be in the normal range for hormones, but that does not mean that you are in the optimal range for you. So if you are experiencing all of these things and you go to your doctor and your doctor does your blood work and says, oh no, you're fine, but you don't feel fine, then that just means that you are not optimal. You may be in the normal range, but here's the thing about ranges. You're not everyone. You might not be like everyone. And if you're experiencing these things, there are things that you can do to help yourself so that you don't have to live with all these hormone imbalances, the things that, come up with that, as I mentioned before, like the mood swings. And if you're noticing a lot of these things, it's kind of like the chicken and the egg, some of these things happen and you don't know if it's because of lack of sleep, and you don't know if that's what's causing the hormone imbalance, or the hormone imbalance is causing the lack of sleep. It's kind of a little bit like that. So these are things that, we definitely need to talk about. We need to think about, and that's exactly what we're going to do. But before we do that, we are going to head to a commercial, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Okay, welcome back. If you're just joining us now, I'm Julianne. You're watching Own Your Wellness, and we're talking about those pesky hormones. Whew, oh my goodness. They affect literally everything, absolutely everything in our lives. So, it's important that they're in balance and not out of balance. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how to help yourself feel better in your own skin without medication. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm going to keep repeating myself. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take medication. I am not a doctor, and I am not a part of that. I am saying that there are other alternatives, and asking your regular GP, they might not know all of these things, because they know what they know, but they don't know what they don't know. And you have to be your own advocate. And that's why Own Your Wellness means own your wellness. You need to be your own advocate. So we're going to talk about some different ways that you can upgrade and like maybe rebalance some of your, symptoms, so that they're not like upgrade your symptoms. Sorry. Upgrade your ways of showing up in your life so that your symptoms will lessen. Now, like I said, there are some times that you're going to need medication and hormone replacement. I don't know what your situation is. You might have a thyroid issue, but here's the thing that I want to talk to you about with that. And this comes from the world of pharmacy, is that there are there's estrogen and progesterone that's available in pill form. And those are just standard doses that are just on average and given to people. And then you can go to a compounding pharmacy and you can get an exact dosage for you. So if you're interested in doing, the pharmaceutical route, then please consider doing compounding pharmacy so that you can get a more exact dose, because you're still going to mess with your hormones. Then by adding in a different chemical, then you should have one that's proper for what you need, not just some run-of-the-mill one that's on the shelf. You want something that is for you. Now, that being said, there's also, in that idea, there are, you can get it in cream form. You can also get it in pill form. They'll literally, and I used to do this, so literally used to make the creams and also pack the pills so that you can take capsules of the exact dose that you need. There's also, you can get a pellet in the butt of hormones, and those last, I think it's 3 months or maybe even 6. But these are all options for you if you do decide that that's the route for you. But there's also all the things we're going to talk about today are things that are good for you and things that you should probably be doing anyway. But these are the things that are going to help you with your hormones and with weight. So, because it's all connected, right? Okay. So number 1 is getting enough sleep. And when I mean sleep, I am talking about uninterrupted deep sleep throughout the night and enough of it. I'm not saying that it has to be 8 hours. I mean, I talk about this a lot, but whatever works for you, but it shouldn't, most people can't function on 6 hours or less. Most people need 7 to more. Sometimes they need more than 8. So find out if you're one of those people. Remember, lack of sleep will cause cognitive problems for you. Not just short term, where your memory and your decision making are not as good, but also long term. It can be something that causes dementia later on. So be careful and make sure that you're getting quality sleep. And the thing with the lack of sleep too is that it does cause obesity. It doesn't always cause it, but it is a cause of obesity, and it's also a leading cause of diabetes as well. So keep that in mind. You don't want to have, if you are concerned about that little donut around your stomach, like most women my age, then think about getting enough sleep. It is not bad for you. And here's the thing too about sleeping enough, it clears out the plaque in your brain. And if you're not sleeping long enough and you're not sleeping deep enough, your brain doesn't have the chance to clean out that plaque. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about the cognitive problems that you will, get from lack of sleep. And the thing is that regular sleep does help your body regulate its hormones. So if you're having an issue, that might be something that you need to take a look at. And like we've talked about before, there's different sleep hygiene techniques. You can always look that up online. You can always, reach out to me if you want to at ownyourwellness.net and at Jules Ann Meyer on Instagram. But anyway, on to the next thing. Blue light. I mean, we talk about this a lot. Well, I don't, but it's heard in like my circles a lot about blue light. We all know that that's the computer screen. It's the phone. It's that, and this has to do with sleep too. It's going to affect your sleep. But here's the thing. It messes with your hormones. So if you can stop watching TV and stop watching your phone and all of these things later at night, you can actually restore your natural circadian rhythm. And circadian rhythm isn't just at night. I mean, that's literally 24 hours. So think about that. That's something that you want to think about when you're thinking about blue light and how that affects you. And there's so many other, and that does go hand in hand with sleep and the circadian clock and all of that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you about too is stress-a-rooney. Oh my goodness. Stress. Ooh, we all have it. But the thing is that stress affects your endocrine system as well as your hormone levels. Julianne, use your words. Okay. So the thing is that, we're all familiar with having high levels of stress. And, there's definitely different ways that you can combat it. A good way that's really simple is music. And I am referring to, you got to be careful about the lyrics of the music you're listening to. It can have a great beat, but it can have negative lyrics. And that's actually not good for you. So make sure you're listening to something positive, something, even if it's, if you're not into classical music, then pick something you do like. But if you're listening to gangsta rap and they're talking about hoes and, killing people, and that's not going to be good for you. So, and your stress levels, right? So keep that in mind. But there are so many different ways. If you're not ready to start a meditation practice, if you're not ready to, journal, there's other things you can do. Go for a walk, get outside, ground yourself naturally. What do you love to do that gets you present? I'm not referring to watching TV. I'm not referring to playing video games. I'm referring to, what do you like to do that gets you, lit up? What's going to add value to your life that could be less stressful? Like I said before, listening to music. What are some other things? We talk about this a lot is scent. You can think about, certain scents cheer you up. Grandma's cooking, or your mom's perfume, or the smell of roses because it reminds you of love. Take a whiff of whatever that is when you can. That will help instantly reduce your stress. But the number one, and this is the easiest thing that anybody can do and has instantaneous results, is learn how to breathe. I know it sounds crazy, but learn how to breathe. Deep breath from your belly, from your diaphragm, out and in. So your stomach, it doesn't look cute. It's going to go in and out, but it will work. And I'm telling you, think about it. When you are stressed, you start holding your breath. You start breathing super shallow. All of these things, that's a stress response. Stop what you're doing and start breathing deeply, because that will also activate your brain as well. And you can start thinking clearer and start making better choices, because when you're in that stress mode, you're not going to make the best choices. We all know this, right? All right. What else can you do? There's exercise. We all know this. I know. I'm preaching to the choir, right? But here's the thing. Even studies show that even at short exercise sessions, they'll help regulate your hormones. And here's the beautiful thing. It'll help control your appetite. And here's the thing that nobody seems to mention is that once you get the momentum going of good choices, it's much easier to make another choice that's good. It's much easier to make another one and another one. It's like the snowball effect, or like I was talking about on another show, the domino effect. You only, for choices, how like a little domino can knock over, I think it's 3 times the size of itself. So you keep knocking over bigger and bigger dominoes as you go. So exercise will help you control your appetite, because one of the things that will get your hormones out of control is overeating. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But exercise will help control your appetite. So it's a good thing, and plus movement is good. And I think that a lot of people don't know that standing, as much as like if somebody is sitting, this is just like a fact, but how just sitting all the time is not good for you. So is just standing all the time. It's the changing of the levels, the up, the down, that is what's good for your body in that type of movement. So keep that in mind and think about gravity. We're always fighting against gravity. What's going to feel good there, right? Okay, so we were talking a little bit about diet and how that is going to help regulate hormones. And one of the best ways to help regulate your hormones through your diet is to knock out sugar. Now, you do want to knock out all recreational sugar, at least for a while. What do I mean by recreational sugar? I'm talking baked goods. I'm talking candies. I am talking table sugar, brown sugar, all of these things. If your gut health is not correct, then you need to cut out basically all sugars for a while until your gut is healthy, because your hormones aren't going to work as well if your gut's unhealthy. It's kind of like one of those chicken and egg things once again. See, we've been talking about, that's 2 of them so far. So try and get rid of all sugars for a while. I'm not saying fruit's a bad thing, but I'm saying if your gut is not healthy, your gut lining, then you need to get that healthy in order to absorb the sugars properly so that it doesn't spike your insulin. Hormones, we're talking hormones here, okay? So try and eliminate all types of sugars, not just certain types. Like honey will have the same effect as basically table sugar. And then you want to think about products like white breads, baked goods, things that are not necessarily sugar, but break down into sugar quickly. Those are things that you want to avoid when you're trying to regulate your hormones. Now, another thing that you want to try and think about is healthy fats. The one thing I really want to drive home to you is that fats are your friend. They are not unhealthy. Now, what's unhealthy is the fried foods, that kind of thing. We all know French fries are not good for us. We all know that. But here's the thing about fats and good, healthy fats is that they are the fundamental building blocks for our hormones. So we need them. Our body needs them. There was this whole marketing scheme for a long time that made it sound like fats are bad for us. And some of them are. But what are good for you are things like coconut, avocados, extra virgin olive oil, fatty fishes, things like that. Fish oils, for example. Those are all things that are good for you that will help regulate your hormones because you're giving your hormones the building blocks they need in order to function. So the other thing that healthy fats are good for that you might not know about is that they're great for inflammation and reducing inflammation in the body. Definitely cognitive function. Once again, building blocks, heart health. I know it sounds weird that a fat would be good for your heart, but they are. Healthy fats, don't go crazy with them. Like I always say, too much of anything is not a good thing. But the healthy fats will help promote a healthy weight. So that is something that you want to, if you're not getting enough of, you need to start adding that in. Don't be afraid of the fats, the healthy fats. They're good for you. Your hormones need them, okay? So, and it just helps balance them in general. And the reason why, like I said, they are building blocks. All right. So what's another thing that people should be making sure they have enough of? And besides water, not having enough water, nobody talks about that. You need enough water for your body to function. If you're dehydrated, you're not going to be able to function as well. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water. But the thing that people don't really realize is the lack of fiber in their diets. You need to increase your fiber intake. I can pretty much guarantee that I can say that across the board. It's very rare that somebody is getting enough fiber in their diet, at least in the United States. It plays an important role in your gut health. So keep that in mind, because if you can't digest your food, where is it going to go? If you know what I'm saying? So it also helps regulate insulin. So think about getting more fiber into your diet. And that I know kind of has a little bit of a conflict with the fruits thing. So you got to figure out what's going to be best with you. And that's when getting a nutritionist involved or a dietitian or a functional doctor would be good. And then working with a health coach as well is definitely an option. But, one of the, I forgot to mention, about fatty fish. If you're a vegan or a vegetarian, sorry, but you can figure it out in a different way. And we can talk about that privately. But not only is it good for your hormones to have this as a healthy fat, but it also contributes to your heart health. So think about that. And it helps prevent mood disorders. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, one more. Excuse me. Whew. That's what happens when you're by yourself. And you live in California and there's a huge windstorm all day. It is kicking up my allergies like crazy. Oh my gosh, it's insane right here. Whew. All right. So we do have some more stuff that we're going to go over, but we're going to go to a commercial break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us now, I am Julianne Meyer. You are watching Own Your Wellness, and we've been talking about hormones and how to help yourself naturally. And you know what? Here's the thing, it doesn't have to be an either or situation. You could do hormone replacement stuff and you can make some healthy lifestyle changes, because it will be amazing how much less you will need in the hormone department if you are changing the way that you're being in your life. And it's kind of cool. So before I go into more things that you can do for regulating your hormones in real time, in real life, I just want to say something that I feel called to say. And that is that, if something is happening in your life that seems off, sometimes the answer is not what you think it is. Now, what do I mean by that? What I'm saying is, I'm telling you, I'm not the only one who says this. I am telling you, this is gospel. So if you're going to remember anything from the show, remember this. It's that I'm going to give you the example. Let's say you're not making enough money in your life to sustain yourself in the lifestyle that you want to be living. The problem may be that you're 15 pounds overweight. It might be that. So if you take care of yourself physically, then everything else falls into place. It's the weirdest thing ever. I am not kidding. Health and wellness and abundance go all hand in hand. So if one thing is unhealthy, something else is going to be unhealthy. It shows up in different ways. It's just that, like hormones, it's an imbalance. And if there's an imbalance, it's going to pop out and show up in different ways. And I'm not saying that you are poor because you weigh too much. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just giving you an example of, those two things don't seem like they correlate. But it could be, that you're not making enough money because you're not sleeping enough. I mean, that makes more sense though, right? So anyway, just realize, and this is the gem, is that you need to find that balance in everything, not just your hormones. Okay. All right. So what are some other things that you can do? How about some cruciferous vegetables? There's kale, there's Brussels sprouts, all these things along those lines. I know they may not sound delicious, but try them. And who knows, maybe they're just prepared in a way that they've always been prepared in a way that isn't appealing. It doesn't mean that you actually don't like them. You just didn't like the way they were cooked or what they were cooked with. So don't be afraid to try things again. Okay. So, but what do cruciferous vegetables do? Well, here's the cool thing. They actually remove excess estrogen, and they actually remove estrogen metabolites from your system. So if you are estrogen dominant and you don't want to be, or you shouldn't be, because that means your hormones are out of balance, then try eating your greens. Try eating your cruciferous, that's so hard for me to say for some reason, cruciferous vegetables. All right. And, that's the thing too. If you have an estrogen related cancer, then definitely add in the green vegetables, because that's going to help you. It will help you with the dominance of the estrogen and the metabolites. All right. So what else? As I mentioned before, avoid overeating. I mean, it seems simple, but we are in a land in the United States, a land of excess, and we overeat all the time without even realizing. We do this a lot because we're not paying attention when we eat. We don't listen to our bodies when our bodies say that we're full. So having a good eating practice, sitting down, not watching TV or looking at your phone while you're eating, actually chewing your food, all of those things will help keep you from overeating. Now, regular overeating, just so you have an idea, it actually can lead to metabolic issues and even short-term changes, like in your, like if you overeat every once in a while, things like that, that can actually cause your circulating levels of fat, um, and it will change those levels and also increase your oxidative stress. So be aware of that. You even just like a couple times overeating is not good. It puts undue stress on your system is basically what I'm saying. Okay. So in layman's terms, undue stress, we all know stress kills. We all know stress is going to help or not help. It's going to mess with your hormones. So, yeah, just keep an eye on that. Another thing for all you coffee drinkers out there, I'm a coffee drinker, so I get it. But here's the deal. You need to reduce your caffeine intake. I know. In case you didn't realize by now, it is a nervous system stimulant. Shocker, right? But it's really hard on your adrenals, and your hormones are excreted from your adrenals. Not all of them, but I'm just saying, like, that is going to cause problems. Caffeine is going to cause problems in that respect. You can try something like green tea. And the reason why, I mean, green tea, you can get it caffeine free actually, but it does have antioxidants in it. So that's something that you want to look for, foods with antioxidants. That's another bonus thing that will help you with your overall health, but also help regulate your hormones. But yeah, you want to think about that. What else? If you're smoking and you're drinking, please stop. We all know that there's really no health benefits. And I'm telling you right now, it's not, the industry of wine, for example, saying a glass of wine is good for you, but no more than that. And that changes all the time. Here's the deal. When was the last time you were told to watch your water intake, except for maybe increase it? So if you have to limit something in order for it to be good for you, then it's in that respect, like to one and it changes, it's not good for you. I mean, we all know that ultimately it's a poison. And plus the sugars in it, which we talked about staying away from sugars. So quit smoking, quit drinking. That will help with your hormones. It will help regulate them. And then another thing too is that you do want to cut back on your carbs. And I'm not referring to the vegetables. I am referring to refined carbohydrates. Be careful with those. We talk about that as a collective all the time. Try not eating that bun. As I'm guilty of eating bread all the time. Not all the time, but that is one of my guilty pleasures. But I choose bread that actually has some redeeming qualities to it now. So, if you're going to do something, sourdough does not spike your insulin. So if you need to wean yourself off of certain things, then that's what you should do. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can wean yourself off if you're a wean off kind of person. If you're an all or nothing, then you need to go all or nothing. It's really that simple. But yeah, I'm referring to carbs that break down into simple sugars quickly. So that's what I'm referring to when I say carbs. Okay. So another thing that people don't really know a lot about are adaptogens. Adaptogens are an interesting topic for me because it's different foods and it's different herbs. And what do? It actually helps you adapt, hence adaptogen, and cope with stress. So what are adaptogens? If you're at all familiar with mushrooms, there's mushroom coffee now. So if you're going to do your caffeine, at least add some mushrooms into it, or do a mushroom coffee instead completely. That could be reishi, cordyceps. It could be all sorts of different ones. So just, that's an opportunity for you to try something different. And what are some other ones? Maca. Maca is a really good adaptogen. It's kind of a nutty flavor. It's great in smoothies. So you could try that one. And also to help boost your libido. It's known for that. And it actually gives me a little boost of energy. So try it if you might like it. It's not something that you eat, like it's a powder form, but it's not something that you like eat. Okay. There's ashwagandha, as I mentioned, there's mushrooms, and then there's like ginseng. And those are just to name a few of adaptogens, because you don't need to go crazy in the beginning. But if you're looking for a way to, I don't know, just balance your hormones, those are something that you can look at as well. I want you to feel empowered. Okay. So what else is there? Oh, with women, let's do that one. With women, here's the thing: if you are trying to get pregnant and you can't, it's probably hormonal, related. So you do want to be careful with your dairy products. It's just be careful. Consider dairy products aren't good for anyone, but because they do create an inflammation and mucus. They just do in all humans. That's just how it is. So I'm not giving up my cheese ever, but this is what happens. So just be aware of that. Okay. So just be aware of, if you're trying to get pregnant, cut out the dairy. Here's a huge one that I loved, and I never talk about this, but when this comes to your hormones, you want to think about environmental toxins. I know it's a big topic, but here's the thing. Environmental toxins carry xenoestrogens in them, and those act like natural estrogens in the body, and it can create different conditions like estrogen dominance. That's why it's an issue. So where do these xenoestrogens hide? We hear about there's phthalates, there's BPAs. I know you've heard of BPAs. There's parabens, and of course there's pesticides. So what can you do? There's websites. I should have just put one up for you guys. I didn't think about it until just now. But you can look and see where these products are the most dangerous. So that's why you want to try and buy organic, so there's less pesticides on your food. So that's a good idea to buy organic when you can, if you can afford it. Always wash it. Always. I talked in the last episode about washing all your grains. Make sure you're washing your fruit and your vegetables. What else can you do? Use glass containers instead of plastic. You know how you put spaghetti sauce in your BPA-free or whatever Rubbermaid container, and you pop it in the microwave, and then it's orange and it stays orange? The reason why it stays orange is because it has leached. The plastic has leached in, and it's leached into your food. So you are eating plastic. So just be aware of that. The number one thing that humans, but Americans eat is plastic. I'm not making that statistic up. The number one thing that Americans eat, like ingest the most of, is plastic. That's disturbing. Like, that's an absolutely disturbing fact. But keep that in mind. There's cleaning products that you can get that are cleaner for you. We all know about them. And that's why, and you can even make your own, like with vinegar and stuff. It's not as much fun, but you can get these products so that you're not having as many environmental toxins in your home. Now, you know that when you use the dryer sheets, for example, and that wonderful smell, well, you're breathing in toxins. So unless you get the kind that's toxin free, which obviously doesn't really have a smell. So perfumes and things like that, Wicks air fresheners, all those things, they all have toxins in them. So if you are trying to get healthy and you are eating well and you cannot get rid of that ring around the belly, it's time to start cleaning up your environment. And think about your makeup too. The biggest organ you have is your skin. What are you putting on it? Just because it's expensive does not mean that it's good for your skin. So, go on these websites, look them up, like check it out and see it's disturbing sometimes. I've had to change a lot of things because I've discovered, unfortunately, that they are not good for me whatsoever. So, that's something that you definitely want to take a look at is, what are you putting on your skin? What about your shampoo that you're using? What about your fingernails? What kind, are you going to the regular, you're breathing in those chemicals at the nail salon. You can go to natural places too. And honestly, those manicures last better on my nails anyway than anything else. So think about where you're ingesting toxins besides orally. So, and that goes for anything. Like if you're trying to balance your hormones and your sleep and everything else, what are you putting into your brain? Are you watching crap on TV? Are you watching death shows? Are you watching the news constantly? Are you adding gloom and doom, and which will add stress to your brain can't tell the difference between real and fake. So remember that when you're playing a killing video game. Remember that when you are, watching, which is actually was one of my favorite shows, Law and Order. I used to watch that show ridiculously all the time, like all the time, all the different ones. So these are things that you have to think about. Like, what are you putting on your skin? What are you putting in your home? And what can you change out? So if you're already doing everything, and as far as eating well, drinking enough water, sleeping great, stress management, and you're still not doing great, look at the toxins, your environmental toxins. And that actually includes people too. So think about that. All right. So we're going to go to another commercial break. We'll be back in just a minute.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
I love it when it goes, ooh, and then just stops. I'm sure that's operator error. But anyway, welcome back to the show. We have been talking endlessly about hormones and about how important they are and how to balance them. So, you know what? We're going to do something a little bit different. Well, it's not actually different, but we're going to do some crazy health stuff. So let's try something fun in case you guys didn't catch it last time. Here it is. It's some new ones, though. You'll understand what I mean in just a moment. All right. So, oh, goodness. There we go. I had to find the video. Here we go. Let's watch this because it's absolutely fascinating. All right. The average human adult body, there are at least 67 different. Oop, too fast. Humans share 60% of their DNA with bananas. What is that? Most people produce enough saliva in their lifetime to fill 2 swimming pools. Human noses can remember 50,000 different scents. The tongue is the strongest muscle in the entire body. Oh my gosh. 20% of your fluids are gained through water-rich foods. You can actually overdose on water. Yes, that is correct. You can. Drinking coffee will not dehydrate you, people. And music is proven to improve workout performance. And you typically breathe through one nostril at a time. All right. How crazy is that? Woo! Okay, so I want to touch on a couple of those things really, really, really quick. Okay, first of all, the one nostril at a time. We can go over that another time. But there's the opposite nostril breathing. If you want to check that out, it'll actually help regulate your stress hormones as well. So take a look at that if you are interested in learning more. Alternate nostril breathing. Okay, alternate nostril breathing, and then the whole 20% of our water-rich foods is where we get our water for the day. That's why the 8 glasses thing is kind of a misnomer, because it's not necessarily true. You get a lot of stuff from the food that you eat, as long as you're eating live food. So try and think, remember that you're including your water intake from there as well. Now, my favorite one in there was the coffee thing. And I have been guilty of saying coffee dehydrates you. It does not dehydrate you. It doesn't. But it is a diuretic, and you will have to go to the bathroom more often. So there's that. But what's it made up of? It's made up of water and something else. So, caffeine, beans, coffee beans. So it's made up of caffeine. But anyway, you understand what I'm getting at. I'm just trying to say that it doesn't actually dehydrate you. Who knew? So, but remember, if you're trying to balance your hormones too much, not good. Even a cup can be too much. So if you're really serious about feeling good, remember that and keep that in mind. Okay. So now we're going to do something else. Okay. Tips and tricks. All right. I have got my favorite one for you guys. All right. Let's say you are going to a party, or even for yourself, because you know what, you're worth it too. And you are making those biscuits that are like not homemade, but you want to zhuzh them up, make them a little more fancy, and make it kind of maybe possibly look like you cooked them from scratch, or you can enjoy them like they're from scratch. There's a couple things you can do to make them a lot more fancy. And one is to slather melted butter on top of the what's it called, the biscuits, or the rolls, or whatever it is that you're making. And then you can add a seasoning on top too, even just a little bit, even just to add color. All right, so that's one. Another thing that's actually really a good idea, and this only works if you have the plastic egg carton container. So you need a plastic one. If you use the other kind, you'll understand in a second. But you can literally make individual size sauces. So each one of those little egg carton pieces in the plastic is 1 serving size for sauce. And you can freeze that so that you can pop one out and pop one out and pop one out when you're ready. So you can actually make your sauces serving size in those little egg carton containers. Like I said, it has to be plastic. I mean, it makes perfect sense if you're thinking about whether or not it's going to go into, the paper product or not. So yeah, reuse, reduce, recycle. That's a kind of an okay thing to put use plastic for. Personally, yeah, if you're not going to need to defrost the entire thing, it's a good way to go. All right. And then the last one, this is a fun little hack, is using, one of those round apple slicer thing with the core piece. So it looks like it's round, and then it has a little center like that with all the spokes coming out in a circle. You can put that on a potato and slice it down a potato, and then you have steak fries. And they're all like pretty much the same size, because you just use that thing. So you can make steak fries using that. How cool is that? What a great idea, right? All right, we're going to do really, really quick one more segment. We're just busting through these today because why not? Okay. I've been doing this show for a while now, and I have never once brought up Think and Grow Rich. This is such a good book, but it's a hard read for a lot of people, myself included, because it's written a long time ago, geared towards men. And, some of the language is a little hard to understand. But you know what I've discovered is if you can't digest the actual physical book, audibles or on tape or whatever it is now on CD, that's a really good way to get the ideas. It's easier for me to hear that than read it. But I wanted to mention it because it is like a holy grail when it comes to abundance books. So make sure that if you haven't read it, that you do, because it's kind of it's one of those must reads at least once. And if you're Bob Proctor, your entire life, right? Over and over and over and over again. So that's my suggestion for you as far as books. It's not, like I said, the easiest read, but there are so many gems in there. So you just got to wade through some of the language, like I said. And he talks about things that are not necessarily tangible, which is the missing sauce. And the thing I will say too about this book that, because I've asked this question of other people and I kind of came up with my own answer, but it's like, if this is such a great book, and it's really kind of like gives you the blueprint for how to be wealthy, then why aren't more people wealthy, especially the people that read it? Seems like a logical question, right? And the answer is, and it's, of course, I didn't see it for the longest time. It's that what it tells you to do is so simple, it doesn't seem like it's going to work. It's really that simple. It doesn't seem like it's going to work. So just keep in mind that it does work, and it's been proven again and again. So give it a whirl, give it a read. If you can't read it, definitely listen to it and more than once, over and over, because you'll catch something new that you missed the first time. So that's my recommendation. So anyway, we are just about out of time for our show today. We're going into next month already. So next month we have some guests. I'm so excited on Thursdays. We're going to start doing guests on Thursdays, just me on Mondays. But yeah, so be excited. I have found some really amazing people for you guys, and they are so cool. And I am so excited to share them with you because they are all up to something amazing, something fabulous, and you need to hear about it. So stay tuned. We will be back next week. And until then, enjoy your weekend, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you again next week.